Didn't make any sense, did it? Nah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's like I said, there's a lot of good people out there in pickleball.
That's a way to start the show. I recorded that. I gotta stop saying that too. I don't care. Just getting by. Getting by. We're getting organized. Don't tell anybody that, because my next guest is a National Pickleball League owner of the Houston Hammers, and he's got such a resume. He's a doctor. He is a cancer survivor. He is an amazing man that I probably will mess up his interview, his segment today. But listen to me. My hair is kind of wet because it's not for anything big. I just got through watching the Pickleball Show podcast with Curtis. That sucked. Whatever. There he is, Dr. Rommie. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks, Curtis, for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you. God bless you for the cancer, working through that, and that's awesome. And also, God bless you from the National Pickleball League, Houston Hammers. So let's get into it. Let's talk about you, the way of pickleball, what, where, when, why.
Let's do it.
You start. You tell me. You're live.
Well, the involvement of pickleball right now is pretty extensive. We have a couple of clubs here in Houston. I'm managing partner with Hal Martin, my partner with Pickleball Country Club, and as well as Casa Pickle.
Nice.
So we have two clubs, indoor clubs here in Houston. Co-owner of the Houston Hammers National Pickleball League team, and do a lot of international stuff. I've trained over 11,000 players.
Gosh.
In my little career of pickleball here.
Career.
Also a 6-time national gold and silver medalist. So I do occasionally get to play.
All right. Well, tell us, those who don't know.
And I've also got Acacia, national director for Acacia. I'm wearing my shirt today.
What's Acacia?
Acacia shoes.
Oh, there you go. Shoes. There we go.
They're the number one brand in pickleball.
Acacia shoes. I didn't know that. Okay, so here's a question for right off the bat then, Doc. What is the difference between a tennis shoe, a paddle shoe, a pickleball shoe, a racquetball shoe? Is there any difference, or is it just this individual sport itself?
Great question. Get that question quite often. Pickleball shoes that are specifically made for pickleball, there's some elements to them that you want. Mm-hmm. One is a wider toe base for the shuffling that you do in pickleball rather than the straight back and forth. So you want a wider toe base. So we put the Teflon rubber in the front because everybody drag toes.
Wow.
Your front toe drags. So we've got some extra rubber there. The ankle support is there. Insoles are incredible, but they're built for pickleball. So we take a lot of time and effort in building, what we consider, and we got the designation as the number one pickleball shoe in 23 and 4, and we're looking to get it in 24. There's my plug.
That's pretty good. All right, that's the show. We'll see you later, Doc. No, I'm just kidding. Well, tell us about your background with pickleball. When did you start? What's your favorite brand? I mean, you don't have to have a favorite brand, but you can just say what you use, because really, ironically enough, people do check on this stuff, and we tag the people you say, like Hal Martin. He'll be tagged in this, so you can say, tell us what you got.
Yeah, well, and I got to mention my co-owners in the Houston Hammers, our National Pickleball League too. Amy Bloom Rosen, Hugh Zhang, and again Hal Martin. All those persons are extensively involved, and we're going to be having the draft soon. So season will be starting, and excited about that. So with that said, I work very closely at the club and with Selkirk. So we do promote Selkirk a lot because I was with another company for quite a while.
I understand that too.
And but Selkirk came in and offered us an opportunity to have a really good program for our clubs. And so they said, but the only way we'll do that is if you come along with the deal. So I sold out.
No, you didn't sell out. You just moved on, man.
I moved on. So anyways, Selkirk's been our partner. And of course we have some other brands in the clubs.
Sure.
Just like anybody else in a pro shop. And they're all good. I mean, there's no real bad companies out there. We have Yola paddles and Diadems and different paddles.
All
and
the flavors.
Got Prolox. Good friend of mine, Gary Batowski, does a new paddle. He's known as Wooden Paddle Gary, but he has not wooden paddles, but they're actually regular pickleball paddles, the Prolux. But anyway, so my involvement started 11 years ago.
Okay.
Moved into a community that had some pickleball courts, and I was literally walking down by the courts one day and walked out there and sat down on the bench, and I was watching a couple people warm up, and I said, "What the hell's this?" and they said, "This is pickleball." And I said, "Okay, cool." And being a former athlete, professional athlete, and so forth. So I said, well, I think I can do this pretty quickly, and jumped in and started playing, and was very fortunate to quickly adapt to the sport.
Yep.
I went to Indian Wells, won a national championship.
Nice.
So when I came back, then everybody wanted to know, well, what are you doing? Obviously, you're doing it well. And I started just helping friends and family at that point. But then it turned into a bona fide business at some point. I think it was because my wife said, "Why are you doing this for free?"
No, man, that's the exact opposite of what my wife says.
Yeah. So it turned into a business of teaching, and then it's fast
awesome.
forward to where we are now.
That's great.
One of my fun things to do is with the teaching part is I do 3 or 4 international trips every year. Been to Costa Rica 10 or 11 times and taking groups. Have one again this year in late November, early December. I've got one to Nicaragua.
Wow.
It's going to be kind of cool. And then Rick Witzkin, who's a founder of MPL, he and I are doing one in Indiana at his new club.
Oh, I got to get you guys on. I forgot about that, man. I'll get him on. Okay.
Yeah, so Rick and I partnered up and doing something. So,
good dude.
Been to Turks and Caicos. I've been to Punta Cana. I've been all over doing international trips and continue to do so. That's a lot of fun.
Wow. So when you play, do you do mixed double singles, or do you care, or does it just depend on the day or partner?
I promise you it's not singles, okay?
Huh?
I promise you it's not singles.
Well,
it's doubles and either men's or mixed, but
Rick Barry still plays singles. Come on.
I teach singles.
There you go.
But I can stand in one place and just make them run.
Yeah. That's what my dad would tell me. I don't want to run. I'll make you run.
It's called being smarter than they are.
Yeah, smarter, not harder, baby, right? So far in your journey, we're talking with Rommie Maxey, Dr. Rommie Maxey. Tell us what the doctor is for again.
It's a PhD in biomechanics. So if somebody gets hurt, I can help them get well.
No, he's just showing off. Whatever. Good job. So, Dr. Rommie Maxey, owner MPL, multiple medal winner in pickleball, and been doing this for 11 years now. Is in Houston. Got some nice clubs down there. What's so far? And again, I get emails or I get texts about, well, they didn't talk about me, and I'm like, well, I'll say this. This is an objective statement. So I'm sure this man has plenty of good people he's played with. So don't get your butt hurt. He doesn't say your name. But you gotta say my name. No, I'm kidding. So what's your favorite memory so far in pickleball? A match with somebody, a place to play?
Well, kind of an interesting one is when I went to Indian Wells, one of the national championships. I partnered up with a blind date, a lady from Wisconsin, and anyway, we got together. And the day before the tournament was going to start, we decided to go out and play a few recreational games and kind of just get a feel for how each other's played.
Yeah.
And I'm not a real good practice player. I don't get too enthusiastic. So we went out and played, 6 or 7 games, and we lost every one of them pretty handily, I think.
Ooh.
And she came up to me afterwards and she says, "Rommie, am I doing something wrong? Obviously, we're not gelling." And I said, I understand where you're coming from. However, I had to tell her, I said, I'm not a good practice player. I just kind of slow pace, but I also wanted to see how you played and all that. So I said, I will be fine tomorrow. How's that? I think. And the next day we came in and we played from one of those national tournaments, as you well know, sometimes they last forever.
Yeah.
We played from 8 in the morning until about 6 that evening, and we went undefeated and we won the national championship.
Huh.
She said, "You were right. You played different when." Yeah. So that was kind of a funny story. We didn't win a rec game at all. And then we went undefeated for the national championship.
What was her name?
I
okay, fair enough.
Give her out her name at this point.
Got it. Okay, so let's go to What you said you have a sports background. What'd you do? College, high school? What were you
Yeah, I
involved
played
in?
high school, of course, college sports, and letter winner in a number of sports, and
Oh wow.
went on and had an opportunity to play in college and baseball, which
Okay,
was
that's what it was. Baseball. Okay.
that's when my all my children and all play baseball. Matter of fact, I just got back from Atlanta doing some baseball stuff. But anyway,
Good.
so had an opportunity to play college baseball. Got to play in the Mets organization for a
Nice.
little while. So baseball was our background.
That's awesome. Well, some similar skill set when you keep your hands and feet together, get that ground ball, huh?
Still hand to eye coordination, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. See, people, anybody can play the sport, not just tennis players. Anyway, all right. So, what is your favorite? Well, keep doing the way of pickleball here. So, what's your favorite shot? You have a favorite shot?
The winning shot.
Be specific, man. You're not on trial here. That's something my dad would say, man. Come on.
The favorite shot. Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many shots in pickleball. The favorite one would probably be
To make somebody mad.
two-hand backhand down the line, not cross court.
Yes. All right. Straight arrow. I like that. Do you have a favorite player? Male, female, junior, senior, all of them. You have a favorite player, and you know why?
Well, I mean, there's so many great players
Correct.
that I get an opportunity to be
I
around
know you do.
at the MPL level. Of course, Rick Witzkin's, a very close friend of mine, so I better mention Rick is my favorite.
I talked to Rick 2 months ago, man.
And of course, again, Beth Bellamy.
Yes.
There's so many great, and both of those are founders of the MPL, but they're just close friends. Michael Chin, also the third founder for the MPL, and they're just good people, good players, and they're my favorite people because they got the MPL started.
Well, yeah, that leads into another thing for those of our listeners and viewers, just to confirm. They need to know what the MPL, confirm what it is through as an owner's eye, what the MPL is. I know what it is, but our listeners need to understand what it is.
The National Pickleball League is MPL, and it's going into its third year.
Yep.
It's 50 and over players, and it's the best players, really in the world at this point, because the international scene hasn't come on board to the 50 and over crowd at this point. It's 12 teams at this point. There'll probably be more teams in the future, but there's 12 teams right now all over the United States. Upcoming draft in just a few days with the draft, and then the teams will be formed, and we'll be starting our third year. There's $150,000 on the line for the players to get.
What does it take to become what does it take to try out or be an invite, or do you have to be a former player?
There's local combines by the teams that they have their local ones. We had one, and we had about 50 players come to that. But there's two national combines. One was hosted in Arizona this year, and the other one was hosted at Pickleball Country Club in Houston. And
how convenient!
Another plug. There you go. Hey, you got to get them when you can. But we just hosted 2 weeks ago. We hosted the one of the combines, and so at that point, then there's about 140 players, men and women, and pretty equal, probably 70 and 70. And they come in and have an opportunity to get in front of all the owners. They'll play probably a half a dozen matches in the morning, and then another half a dozen matches in the evening, Saturday, and then do it again on Sunday. Wow. And so we get an opportunity to observe them and decide who those players are going to be that we want on our teams. And there's also players that are already on teams that played last year and that sort of thing. But it's just and one interesting point though is you have to have one 60 and over player on each team. So you have kind of a super senior, whatever they call it. Yeah. And cool. One of the top players in the country still playing, Scott Moore, Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, I want to get him on.
Scott's doing amazing, still playing at a very high level, and he's one of the top senior players. We had him on the Hammers last year. Oh yeah. This next year he'll be playing with an opposing team, but anyway, Scott's a close friend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's pretty cool. I've always wondered how that, because I remember calling Rick. I had no idea Rick Witzkin was. I called him when I was at the old studio vocal 3 years ago, and I called this guy, and he says he's shoveling snow, and I'm like, where do you live again? He goes, I'm in the Midwest, Indiana. I go, oh, yeah, you're shoveling snow. Because I'm from Missouri, St. Louis. And I know what it's like. And so he said, I'll call you back. And I'm like, who's this guy? You know, I got it from Craig Bell, a name from Craig Bell. And man, he called me back, and I had him on, and I had, who else? Mark Milner on. And anyway, and then you're my next one on it, and I've had some other ones on. But the point is, it's a cool story. I mean, what did you guys do to get together? What, if I can ask, what triggered you guys to think the NPL before somebody else? Because it would have been thought of, but what gave you that thought? MLP, PPA, what is it?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. You know, there's a gap. Let's just face it, in any professional sports,
Yeah.
you're pretty much done at 35, or
Yeah,
at least 37, 38, 39, somewhere in that age category.
Yeah.
And then there's this gap between, we'll just say, even if you played late to 38, there's a 12-year gap or no gap. In other words, there was nothing for players. You're washed up, you're done. So then when they started, you know, senior pros, and they had started having tournaments and things, but then
okay.
so we started having senior pro tournaments at 50 and above. But and that's a great organization in itself. But then to have a team concept, you know, following kind of the MLP's look, and then we expanded on it, and we have we have 12 team members on each team, 14 actually if you count the substitutes. So it's a team concept, and it's so unique in that they're cheering for
I
each
got to
other.
go to one of these things next time you come to Dallas. I haven't been to one yet. Rick's mad at me.
Oh, they're fantastic, and there's 5 regular season ones, and then there's a championship. The championship's going to be in Seattle this year, but they're fabulous to watch because the teams are pulling for each other. They got their team jerseys on. It's a lot of fun. It truly is.
Oh boy, I think I made an error. You said Seattle. Who? The Seattle
Tsunami.
Yeah. Oh boy.
That's the name of their team, the Tsunamis.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. Oh wait. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take that. I got one of them coming on this Friday, the 12th.
Who's?
James Mann.
Yeah, James. He's
James Mann.
He's the general manager.
Yeah, he's coming on. Cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
I thought I screwed up. And I didn't call him last week because I had one guy not call in from New York City, and I won't say your name. He's on he plays PPA. So,
there you go.
I won't say his name. So let's go to the kitchen. I mean, for real, let's go to the kitchen. This is our next segment. This is where we ask you, our guest. And I was the first one to make that thing, this podcast 3 years ago. Okay, peeps? In the kitchen. That's where we talk about you, what you like, what you don't like, you know, what your favorite stuff is. You know, what makes Dr. Rommie or Rommie or
Rommie.
I apologize. Rommie Maxey tick. So we're going to go with your favorite for music right now. When you walk on a Houston Hammers court or you go out to a big show, what do you got? What you got in the radio?
You're going to have Chris Stapleton in my ears most of the time.
Very good. Very good. Okay. That makes sense.
Top of my playlist.
Is it? All right. What's a favorite movie you like to watch when you're down or you're happy or you're sad, or what's a go-to?
There's no doubt, because I have my couple of grandsons that whenever they come over, we watch it every time, and that's Sandlot.
The Sandlot. All right. So
famous baseball movie.
Oh yeah. I know what that is.
Yeah.
What about the
You're killing me, Smalls.
I know. Yeah. That's killing me too right there. Crap. Anyway, whatever. Thank the cat. Perfect timing. You are killing me, Smalls. Well, welcome to whatever. It's pure chaos here. Favorite? Do you have favorite sports teams? Favorite sport? All of them?
Oh, absolutely. It's the Houston Hammers. I mean,
Okay.
and the Astros. You got to go with the
See?
Astros.
It's not killing me, Smalls. Keep going.
There you go.
Oh, the Astros, the Stros. Hell yeah, man. How are they going to do this year? Good? How are they
What's
going
that?
to do? How are they going to do this year? Houston Astros.
How the Astros are going to do this year?
How are they going to do?
Not as good as they have been.
Yeah.
But they're still good.
Yeah. Local guy there. Okay. Do you have a favorite pet? Do you have pets?
Do have one left. We've had a couple that have departed last year or so.
Sorry.
Those are always sad, but I have a little cat named Tigger.
Where's Tigger? Is Tigger in there?
He's probably hanging around here somewhere. He'll be scratching on the door.
Tigger, that's cool. All right. So last question. What is something about you that's very unique or something that's weird? You know, not weird, like, no, whatever. However you want to tell, but I don't care. It's your show. What's something about you that's unique or weird that you think people would think, oh, it's pretty cool, but weird at the same time?
pretty cool or weird at the same time. That's interesting. I always tell people all the time that there's only uh, one way to play pickleball, and that's your way. In other words, there's no rules in pickleball. If you want to play fast, play fast.
Mhm.
If you want to play slow, play slow. Everybody says, "Oh, they don't get into a dink game." Well, there's no rules. They don't
No.
want to get into a dink game. They just want to hit it hard at you. So you've got to adapt to their game, and I think that's the uniqueness. And also the other thing I do is I don't teach dinking to beginners. Why do we teach dinking to beginners? They're not going to dink. Period.
That's a
Okay,
good
so
point,
it's not gonna
actually.
happen. Maybe a year down the road, maybe 2 years down the road when they get to,
Uh-huh.
a certain level of play,
Wow.
but there is no dinking, so why teach it? And I
Exactly.
see
Oh,
so
it's
many
all,
people
yeah.
go out and start teaching dinking, and I said, "When's the last time you saw a beginner dink?"
Good point.
Good point. So there's my kind of my interesting story and uniqueness that I don't teach dinking to beginners.
That's pretty cool. I've never heard that one. I mean, I had a guest on last week that had a boa constrictor and a iguana in college. Why would you have that?
Yeah.
I've heard some weird stuff. Well, that's cool. Well, okay. How would people get in touch with you or whatever you want, your clubs? If we have website, I've already followed you on everything. I believe everything. And how would people get in touch with you?
Well, just they can email me at Maxey, MJE,
Mhm.
at hal-pc.org.
Mhm.
And you may be able to post that later or
I
something
will.
if you like. And then, of course, my number is 713-443-4590. Don't mind sharing that because, if you want to get in touch with me, I do have a trip with Rick in July.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with me about that, I've got one to Nicaragua in September, and I've got 2 spots still left in Costa Rica
Oh my God.
in December. So,
That's awesome.
any of those excursions you might want to get involved with, give me a shout. They're a lot of fun, and we have a great time.
Sweet. I can be reached at Curtis@ReeseRacketSports.com or on the World Wide Web at, I don't know, Curtis Reese Pickleball. Look it up. You'll see it somewhere. I mean, I'm kind of nobody. You know what I mean?
Coming through.
Not true.
Well, perception's reality. My reality's checked. All right. Is that painful? Is that good? Did you have fun?
Yeah,
All right, man.
absolutely.
Anything else you want to say before I cut out?
This all sounded good to me.